What is up, guys? What's up? How's it going? What's up, John? What's going on?
Hey there, guys. How you doing? It is great to be here with you.
Yeah,
Keep
no,
Yeah.
we're
Good to see
excited
you,
to have
man.
you back on, man.
good stuff. Hey, Aaron and T. Weiler, a journey to truth, because it is a journey, isn't
That's the only
Yes,
reason
it
we had
is.
you back on, so you just to hear you call us that.
Yeah.
Guys, tonight we are joined by Johnny D.
Johnny D.
Well,
Yes.
Guys, can you
That's
hear
my
us? Give us a five
DJ
let,
days when I was a DJ.
There you go.
let us know
That was,
in the
that was my job right there. Sorry, man. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're
I'm
good.
sorry. Go
I just
ahead.
want to make
I'm so
sure
glad
that,
this is in the podcast.
that
This is
people
amazing.
can hear us this, and then we'll get going. So yeah, we're getting ready to leave tomorrow morning to head to ECETI. Then we're going to Sedona for the Great Family Light Gathering, which apparently you're jealous that we're going to be there.
I am so jealous, man.
He's also upset he wasn't.
Yeah.
I'm gonna miss my workouts with Troy. That's the main thing. The main thing I want to do out there. It's in the Sedona, on the Sedona Mountains, red majestic mountains of Sedona. Beautiful.
Yeah, guys, tickets are still
Yeah,
available
can't
for
wait.
that conference if you want. The link is below. Grab a ticket, come hang out with us. A lot of great speakers: Kate Awakening, Alara, Matthew Mornian, Health Nuts. What's that guy's real name? Do you know?
Troy. You mean Troy?
Troy. So did you just see? I just saw on Instagram they posted a video of him. There's like a monsoon hitting Sedona right now, and he's like riding his bike through it on the side of the road. He's crazy.
That sounds like Troy Casey. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So guys, if you want to grab a ticket, it's not too late. They're going to be available all the way up into the last minute. So if you have a last minute change of heart and you want to come, there's room for you. So yeah, we're looking forward to that. John, dude, what is going on in the world right now? This shit is
Tell us
crazy.
what's going
Yeah.
on, John. Tell us what's happening.
You know, it's we're in it, man. It's hard because we're laughing and happy, but we're standing in the final battle for the existence of mankind. We're in it, man. This is it. This is and all the globalists have accelerated all of their plans, everything that they had for like the next 30 years to destroy us and to conclude our existence. They've basically, because they've been attacked, the globalists, the whatever you want to call them, the 12 families, the central
Cabal,
bankers, the
DeepState.
cabal, because they've been attacked so hard in the last 4 years, 5-6 years, they have basically just decided to let all the horses go loose and just try to get everything done at one time.
Yeah.
And it is insane. It is
Yeah.
insane because everything that we see going on in the world is actually connected to everything else that is going on. And people don't know that. They just see stuff happening and they're like, oh yeah, these 4 African presidents just got assassinated and killed in different African countries. I guess I don't know what that's connected to.
What a coincidence. Yeah.
What a coincidence
Yeah.
that those are the only 4 countries that have absolutely refused to get the jab. Their presidents have refused to allow the jab to come into their countries and be used against their citizens. And now suddenly all 4 of them, I think it was 3 a little while ago. Now it's up to 4 guys that they just mysteriously all died. And
Well,
it's unbelievable.
At the same time.
Around the same time.
Roughly the same time. Yeah.
You know what's interesting? You said it's all tied together, and it truly is. I mean, we talk about everything on this show,
Yeah.
and I've come to realize that once you understand that it is all tied together, everything from the election to the secret space program and everything in between there, it's all tied together.
And even the great UFO fear campaign that we see going on now with the government and black parts of the Pentagon and the To the Stars Academy and many other players that are working this UFO tic tacs are here to destroy humanity and all that. That is connected to all of this stuff too. And it's just,
Yeah.
it's hard to work that out unless you really look at it with an investigator's eye and really see clues and patterns and things connecting one to the other to the other.
Yeah. And it's very apparent that, this UFO report and all this stuff, they're basically just trying to figure out a way to do it without blackmailing themselves. Because, they'll be telling them themselves, you have all these people in power who don't want to get hung, for if they come out and say that they've known all this stuff the whole time, well, now the spotlight's going to be on them. These people have blood on their hands, quite literally,
That they had this technology all this time that could have saved millions of lives.
Yeah.
And they've had it this whole time since Roswell, since, World War II. And they've had it and they've never used it because they are believers in depopulation, just like what's going on now with the death jab that's going around as well.
And they had the audacity to throw the weather balloon in the report again.
Yeah.
In the new report, it's like, get out of here with that stuff.
Still doing the weather balloon. Still doing
Obviously we're getting like a dog and pony show with this. But what's the chatter? Anything going on behind the scenes that might not be so apparent to the public as far as the reason this disclosure is being pushed at this time?
Yeah, what's behind the scenes is this enormous psychological operation that involves parts of what I call the black parts of the Pentagon, the black parts of government as well, the deep state, and even private corporations as well that are involved in this as well. And when I say black, I mean compartmentalized, above top secret parts of the government, parts of the Pentagon that are unaccountable to anybody. And they have unlimited money, unlimited resources, and they can do whatever the hell they want. That's the black parts of the Pentagon that are working against the people, basically against everybody. And they are working in concert with a lot of mainstream media elements too. And that's why you see mainstream media that suddenly, after 50 years since Roswell, suddenly just has done an about face and now says, oh, all of these Tic Tacs are possibly real, are possibly genuine UFOs, genuine extraterrestrial vehicles. And they are also proof, and then they use that CIA mind control phrase. They're also proof that we may not be alone in the universe. Because they all have these special code words that they use, and that's how you can recognize them, that they're in this operation. And the code phrases are unknown alien unknown aerial vehicles, unknown aerial phenomena, and unknown aerial threats, UATs, unknown aerial threats. That's
their favorite.
That's one of their favorites. But also, and they'll always use that phrase. This is proof that we are possibly not alone. That's a CIA phrase because it doesn't come right out and say directly, "Oh, these are alien vehicles," But it taps into parts of your brain that automatically assume that, well, yeah, it's got to be alien vehicles, genuine alien vehicles at this point. But they're not. They're absolutely not. They're actually pretty much United States super weapons, and they are in the U.S. Navy, and that's why the U.S. Navy is suddenly, after the United States Air Force has been in charge of UFOs for 50 years, now suddenly the U.S. Navy, for some reason, is in charge of UFOs.
What do you think that's about? I mean, besides the fact that
it's because the United States Navy is in charge of legal affairs and high-level secrecy for the entire military and for the entire country. That's why.
Well, yeah, they were leading the way for the secret space programs. According to William Tompkins, it was all the Navy. Everything was the Navy, and the Air Force was more like Project Blue Book, and they were focused on the cover-up. And there was like
Right.
two whole narratives going separate ways.
Right, and that's because the U.S. Air Force has always been in charge of UFOs. The word aerial is a dead giveaway in all these titles. It's aerial. It's aerial phenomena. So of course the Air Force has to be in charge of this stuff. And the fact that they're suddenly not tells you something weird is going on. Something that now the U.S. Navy is in charge of all of this stuff. It's like, what's going on? And what's going on is these things are top secret weapons that the United States has now. But there's a battle going on between the white hats and the black hats in our government to have total control over the Tic Tacs and all the Tic Tac vehicles. That's another part of this that's going on, and it's a desperate fight because these things, the capabilities that these things have, was last seen by Admiral Robert Byrd, who, if you see some pictures of him, he has the most haunted face because this guy saw his entire flotilla destroyed by these UFO like Tic Tacs way back. I think it was in 1933, which is what happened to him.
1946 actually was Operation High Jump.
Yeah.
33. Yeah, he first went to Antarctica in 29, and then he went 5 times. He went 5 times after that, but 46 was High Jump.
That's the big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you think his diary was real, Ben?
I
think
do.
so.
I do. I mean, I've read so many other books like the Smoky God and other testimonies of inner Earth, hollow Earth civilizations that all kind of get they're written as a true story, but they're put in the science fiction section of the bookstore. It's up to you. Use your intuition, discernment, whatever. But I feel that there's something going on there.
Yeah, I believe that his diary was real, or at least parts of it were actually real from him, because he spent his life not being able to talk about what happened. And I think it's very important for us right now to know what happened, because it's probably going to, they're trying to get ready. The cabal is trying to get this UFO fear operation going, and they're trying to gin up fear in the area of ufology. They're trying to take over ufology, first of all.
Yeah.
And they're having a lot of success with that. Amazing. And they're trying to take over ufology, and they're trying to raise up the fear levels around UFOs. What's his name? Renegade came out the other day, and he just said, yeah.
You can say his name, Obama. Right?
That guy. That's it.
Yeah.
That guy.
And he said the other day, yeah, this UFO problem looks really real, and it's going to lead to a lot of increased defense spending and a lot of something else. He said some terror, a lot of increased terror on the parts of people and stuff like that. So he's fully aware of this operation, and he knows what's going on with it.
I believe that entirely. Yeah.
Just like Hillary also talked about it when she was alive as well. She talked about it and said that,
I love how you just said when she was alive.
Yeah.
Nice. I like how you just slipped that in there. No, it's so obvious.
I said stuff like that on mainstream shows out there, and man, they go ballistic.
Oh,
they go ballistic.
Sure.
They go crazy.
You gotta
like they had Hillary on speed dial, and they were gonna get yelled at. They really got upset.
If everything we know is true, they definitely have the technology, the cloning technology, body doubles, deep fakes, all this stuff. And you can even sometimes videos slip through the cracks, and we can watch, some of this stuff, how it works and how they pull it off. And there's no denying that some of these people are just actors or something else at this point.
Yeah. The black military world, and even the white hat military world at the highest levels, they have technology that's like 100 years ahead of us, ahead of what we have. That's why they've got the jump pads. The jump pads, I know you guys know what those are. And those are used for, possibly for off-planet travel. People are not ever going to be traveling anywhere with rockets. When you see these these billionaires putting together these rockets and all this stuff that supposedly is for interplanetary travel. Like, that's never going to happen.
It's a joke.
Those rockets
joke.
are for dominating. All those rockets and satellites are for dominating the airspace around the Earth here, because that's where the money is. That's where the power is too.
Well, and they have to have a fall guy, and that's the space. That's NASA. That's SpaceX. They have to have a legitimate program that looks like they're dumping millions of dollars into, and really that money is getting funneled into other programs. But some of it goes to that, and there's real scientists involved in these programs who don't know any better, who are fully indoctrinated, and they think they're working on cutting edge technology when that's not the case. But you're not
just compartmentalized.
Yeah,
everything's compartmentalized.
exactly.
Exactly.
It's, I don't even know where I was going with that, but I did want to go back to, you keep saying that these UFOs are ours, right? Like the Tic Tacs and all this stuff. But that's just it. Like, we know there's ET races out there that exist, and there's been sightings of that stuff. But the ones they choose to show us, they know are from our own black budget programs. That's where this whole psyop is.
Yeah. Well, there's also the issue of there's a lot of like hybrid creatures that are often showed off by both sides as being aliens, but they're not. They're not really. They're like these hybrid created creatures that are they're difficult to describe, but they're just put together. They're just kind of put together, and they could actually look like aliens on some level, but they don't have any real intelligence. They're hybrid creatures, and so that's a whole nother area to look into as well.
Well, if you listen to like any testimony from whistleblowers from Dulce, New Mexico, apparently that base in particular is where some of these experiments are taking place, with creating hybrid creatures that we would see them as monsters or ETs because we have no reference point for them when we see them.
Right. There's anybody who knows me knows that I'm a big movie buff, and there's a great, and also I have the knowledge that Hollywood works hand in hand with the cabal. I mean, work like movies, television, they work hand in hand with the cabal. And that doesn't mean that, somebody from the 12 bloodlines is determining every movie that's created. What they do is that Hollywood just does what they do. They create all kinds of movies, all kinds of television shows, but the green lights are given at the highest levels.
Yeah.
And the red ball stopping certain projects is also created from the highest levels. And those are the people who decide, you know what, we're going to make this thing. And right now there's a movie out called Tomorrow War with Chris Pratt.
I watched that. Yeah. That's a disclosure right there.
Holy crap. Talk about propaganda in that movie. And it was excellent movie. I recommend everybody sees it, but you got to see it with a little bit of awareness that you're being propagandized, because I mean, this movie, I can see why they put it forward right now. The whole thing is like a commercial for science and scientists, the people who are murdering us right now. And I mean, halfway through the movie, Chris Pratt actually says the words, "Only the scientists can save us."
Yeah.
And then he goes into the laboratory and starts making up this thing, and which by the way, what actually ends up saving everybody turns out to be a vaccine.
Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
what do you know?
Exactly.
That they create, and then they actually take the vaccine. Talk about graphic imagery. They take the vaccine, they inject it into the alien creatures, supposed alien creatures, and the creatures dissolves into nothing, like right in front of you. It's gross and disgusting, but they're making a statement about these vaccines. They're programming something into us about these vaccines so that we will expect it when we see it. And the other point I wanted to make on that movie is that it showed a perfect example that they're thinking the whole time these creatures are the alien creatures, but then almost halfway through the movie, they find out that the aliens were actually other creatures that they found inside this ship that had been killed by these hybrid creature monsters that they apparently the aliens created for their purposes.
Well, hopefully nobody has
Sorry about
spoiler
alert.
Yeah.
We forgot to say spoiler alert.
No, but you
I
know,
should have said spoiler warning, right?
at the same time,
Sorry everyone.
I'm very inconsiderate. I should have told you guys that.
at the same time, there is tons of propaganda in that movie. There's also tons of disclosure, which if you're aware of, like,
that's usually how it is.
Yeah. So they're like
both.
showing you, again, they have to tell you. So they're showing you everything we're capable of. Time travel, sending, I mean, they perfectly depict what 20 and back would be like. Although it's only in a 7-day span, but they depict it.
Right.
It's like they're seeding the subconscious mind with these ideas. For, obviously there's, like, what do they call it? The continuing public acclamation program that was signed like in the 50s or something, that where they have to, like, tell you what they're doing and let things slip through the cracks. So it's just part of, like, whatever they have to do it.
Yeah, and there was another movie from a couple of years ago that was also a huge propaganda movie, and it was also with Chris Pratt. And I think it was I barely remember the name, was like Journey or something like that.
Oh, you're talking about the one with
the space travel one with Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, it was like and that movie, when I saw it, it was just like, hey, you guys are all going to be going for space travel in the future, and this is how it's going to happen. And it was, and I can tell you guys, do not ever go for space travel, ever. There's nothing out there. And that movie showed it too. It showed that there's nothing out there, and there's no reason to go out there. And just getting locked into those stasis things where you supposedly you go to sleep for like 20 years or so. That's insanity.
Yeah,
that's absolute insanity. They think that we are rats, and we're going to subject ourselves to this experimentation again.
Well, when you say
crazy.
Passengers, that's what that one's called.
That's it.
Passengers. Yeah.
After I saw that movie, I told my sons, who are not much younger than you guys, I told them, do not ever go for space travel under any conditions, ever.
When you say there's nothing out there, don't go for space travel, I mean, that's under, like, the cabal, like under, like, our modern society. But I mean, there are,
until the cabal goes away. I mean, basically,
we're not saying that there's not life on other planets and there's not other places to visit, but
no, like, I absolutely believe that there's not life on other planets other than what we may have placed there, human life that we may have placed on other planets at this time. But alien races and alien visitors, they don't come from other planets in our system. They come through portals. They come from other levels of reality. They call it in ancient language, they call it the Vedas. The Vedas, other levels of existence, where they use portals, just like it was shown in that movie. They use portals. They come through portals. UFOs also come through portals, and they come here. They can be here for a period of time, and then they go back. And they don't go into outer space. They don't go to other planets here. They go through the portals to other realities.
I actually agree with you on that, as far as, like, in our system, maybe the Milky Way and the 9 planets and everything else, like, that might be, if it's inhabited, it's by us and breakaway civilizations and space programs. But the real ETs, the higher density and stuff, are coming, like you said, from other galaxies or even another universe, for all we know, and they travel through the cosmic web and the portal system. But locally, I wouldn't imagine that we would find too much. I don't know, though.
Other than
I don't believe anything.
Other than our own stuff, and then, like, obviously other, like, ET races that are already here on Earth, like reptilians.
Also, there are for instance the ruins of other civilizations, and there's things that are left over from when there was another period of existence in our universe when aliens were allowed to be here, when they were in other places in this physical universe. but that was not during this matrix. That was not. So that's why now there are no other alien races in our physical density, in our solar system, in our galaxy at all.
So you're referring to the ancient, what some people call the ancient builder race.
Yeah. And others as well. Yeah.
And it makes sense because apparently, like, they know very little about that civilization, and I think that's what some of these programs are doing within the SSP. There's archaeologists out there, geologists. They're trying to discover, or they're trying to figure out this race as well.
Yeah, and speaking of archaeologists, there is another strong possibility that alien races, which are not out in space, they're not in our space, but they may actually be within our inner space, where hollow Earth, hollow Earth is real, and hollow Earth is something that people can go into, and it leads into 5D space, where hollow Earth is not a bunch of caves. It's not a bunch of caves or tunnels. It actually leads into other universes and other galaxies that are actually in there, not in a physical way, but in a 5D way.
I believe
so that's another strong possibility as well.
That lines up with like the Smoky God, and
it would make sense, like how we hear so many different accounts on like different civilizations down there, and then like I get to a point where like, okay, well, what's true? Because one person claims that this civilization exists under Mount Shasta, but then you have another person that explains inner Earth entirely differently. So they might be going to a different dimension or a different density also.
Exactly, because those things could be absolutely connected. The thing I said about other levels of existence and hollow Earth as well, those could be connected right to each other as well.
You could be sitting in a jungle right now and you don't even know it because it's in another dimension. Right.
Exactly. Yeah. So all of these things could actually exist. But the one thing I don't think really exists is that I just don't think
Biden
that there's aliens out there. I'm sorry, who? What?
I said, you said the one thing you don't think exists. I said, what, Biden?
No, Biden's clone does exist. He's out there. I see him.
Clone.
I see him all the time.
CGI.
Well, it's a lookalike or something. Yeah, it's a doppelganger.
What are your thoughts on the on clones in politics and even in Hollywood? And did you ever come across any cases, even in the FBI, and that dealt with this type of stuff?
Not that dealt with clones and things like that, but you have to realize, between Hollywood and politics, there's three types of creatures out there that are pretending to be, and possibly more, but three types of creatures. One is clones that are used, but those have to be used, way ahead of time, where you're going to need this thing, and so you just start developing it, and then you have it ready to take place. The other one is lookalikes. Doppelgangers. Doppelgangers that can be used with science or magic. Interestingly enough, doppelgangers can be these sorts of creatures that can be real human beings or something else. And sometimes we talked about this technology that's way ahead of ours. They use these living silicone masks that actually have memory in them and have to be kept alive in a solution, some kind of a solution. And then those masks can be put on the doppelganger. But they're usually used with the third kind of person, which are just lookalike actors that use these masks and that are put these masks on them to imitate the exact look of the person that they're imitating. And so that's the third kind, which are just actors, out of work actors.
It would be
just lookalikes.
There's a big rabbit hole that Jim Carrey is playing Biden right now. He's been off the scene, and what we know about Jim Carrey, if you've listened to watch any behind the scenes or documentaries or making of movies, people always say that it's scary how he becomes the person that he is. Like he's like incredibly talented at almost becoming somebody else. And he doesn't break character even off camera. So if he's that good, he'd be the perfect candidate for somebody like Biden. And then we got disclosure of those masks you're talking about in Mission Impossible 2.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
And they in that movie they also showed not just a mask, but they showed a little strip that they would put on the vocal cords on your neck, and it would change your voice.
Oh wow. You know, we've got some intel in that the person who's actually playing Biden right now is an actor, an out of work actor named Arthur. I'm trying to find his information right now, but it's this actor who is actually wearing one of those masks I just told you about, and that he's 84 years old. And what they did, like they did this with Ruth Bader Ginsburg had a lookalike that was playing her for a couple of years because she was dead. So they actually have this actor named Arthur, who's a minor actor in Hollywood, and he's 84 years old, and they injected him with dementia and some of the same conditions that Biden had, and then they made him look exactly like Biden. And people are saying there is some intel we have that that's the actual guy that is up there at the Castle Rock Studios at the fake White House, pretending to be Biden right now. And this information has been around, and so I tend to think it's very possible that it's actually true, because the Jim Carrey theory, you know, I don't see a successful actor doing one of these jobs, especially because when the role is over, they tend to do away with the lookalikes, and that's just common sense. So I don't see Jim Carrey doing that for that,
But
just for that reason.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, who knows? It's just something I've heard. Now, what do you think happened to the original Biden? Do you think he's dead?
I heard rumors that he's been dead for a long time.
Yeah, me too.
That he's been dead. But then again, I also heard rumors that they're keeping him alive in a hospital in Washington, Virginia area, that he had a massive stroke and he's being kept alive at this hospital, and he won't die, I guess, is the problem. And he's just in a coma of some kind, and they just kept him there. You know, when you're dealing with intel, you get a lot of different stories, and you have to consider the possibility any one of them could be true until you finally get the reality of what's really happening.
Yeah. Well, the biggest thing that I guess that we should be concerned about is that this is the face for our nation right now. You know, this is like, I don't even understand how they're pulling this off or why. Like, people claim it's like a white hat operation, and they're like trying to wake us all up, or I don't really understand how this is being allowed at this point. Like, what do you think where do you think we're going right now?
Well, let me tell you a secret about that real quick, which is that I've been doing a lot of work with Japan. I've been doing some work with Brazil as well, and some other countries as well, where I do my lectures, my presentations, and other stuff as well. And I'll tell you right now, Russia as well. People in other countries, they don't believe for 1 second that Biden is real, or that Biden is actually president of the United States.
Yeah,
they really don't.
I don't either.
They absolutely do not.
Smart.
Mexico, Russia. I mean, you know, Russia had some Putin had some interchange with, and the media doesn't report this, but Putin said, "Who is this guy? This guy has got what is going on? Why do you have him here?" The Mexican president had a meeting with the vice, whoever, the Kamala character.
Yeah.
And he just said, what are you doing here? I'm not going to talk to you. You're not vice president of anything. get the hell out of my office. And he basically threw her out of the office. Brazil and Japan, I mean, those people in that country, they just look at us and they're just astonished. They just look at us and especially because, and India, especially because they're really good with technology, and they saw that inauguration that we saw, and they knew that was complete fakery and CGI.
So fake. Yeah,
total CGI and nonsense.
Yeah, that was a joke.
They're just amazed.
Well, how but here's my question: Why are they doing that? Why do they have to do that? And what's really happening? Like, is the military in control right now?
I believe they are. Yes,
okay.
I believe that they are. In general, they are, and that a decision was made a long time ago that they would allow the cabal to supposedly put this guy in charge of the U.S. corporation and his circle of people who are really controlling him, and just to kind of put them in symbolically and to let them just go ahead and do their final activities to try to make it look like they're winning, because this isn't just them. This isn't just the little circle of communists and globalists that are around this actor pretending to be Biden. It's not just them. They have cabal cohorts around the world as well that are looking at them very carefully to know are these guys coming after us next? And they are being reassured. And the White Hats and the cabal are very happy about this. They're being reassured by seeing, Biden and Kamala in that fake Castle Rock White House that they're using in California, and seeing them and seeing CNN in there pretending that there's really a presidential conference going on. And this really gives them a lot of comfort. So what that does is it lets them stay in place and do their business so that they can continue to gather intel on their activities for when the White Hats are ready to go after them. See, so basically, this scenario. So to answer your question, this is a scenario where everybody wins, really. Yeah. Everybody wins. The bad guys win because they get to be up there and pretend to be in charge, and they get to put out and say, "I got another executive order. I'm going to really screw you up now," or I've got this new initiative. I'm gonna kick you out of your house, and you guys are all gonna have to live in mega cities. There's not gonna be any more suburbs, So they get to do all this stuff and threaten and bloviate all this stuff. And I don't think much of it is ever gonna come to anything. That's where
I don't either.
They're not really in control. They're just being. It's like we have them on a leash, and we're like, okay, you can pretend, and they think they are, or maybe most of them think they are. But until the switch gets flipped, and then they realize, oh shit, they've just been allowing us to think we were in control this whole time. Yeah. And at some point that's going to happen, but it's so clear to me that they're not, like, the military is in control, and the White Hats
are very happy that the cabal is going along with this, and that they're doing their part to pretend to be in charge. The White Hats are very happy about this because we don't believe that the general population is ready yet for the revelation of the depth of evil that these people have been doing. The general public still isn't ready. They're just not, because we're talking some really, some incredibly evil stuff that they've been doing. And so it's better for them to just go ahead and have the Article 1 courts go forward with what's going on over in Guantanamo and in many other military bases around the world as well. And so I think they'd rather have this go on quietly and record everything that's going on, though, because later on they're going to have total transparency, and they're going to show the public, this is what these guys were doing. Mm-hmm. And here's how we gave them their just desserts. And and by the way, they had doppelgangers and clones that were standing in Congress and in the Senate for like the last 3 years, or the last 2 years, because that's how they do business. Just so that you know, and all the laws and everything that they've done is invalidated.
Well, that's what I said. Like all those executive orders that Biden signed when he first got in, I think all of those are null and void. I don't even think that was real. I think that was all part of a show. I mean, it was literally a joke. He had a stack of them this tall.
You could use signing blank sheets of paper,
and the signature didn't match up. But then, and then I've heard somebody say that a clone can't sign a bill or an executive order. It has to be the original body, otherwise it means nothing. There's some type of law there.
So just based on that alone.
So if that's true, then that would tell you like everything is a show, and like they just want to trigger us and get us to emotionally react, and then that's how they
exactly. They want that emotional response. They want you to be upset, to be crazy, and just be like, oh my God, we got to do something about this. This is crazy. We got to stop it. And yeah, his stuff is not really valid. But then, I also had people, when I told them this, I told them exactly what you just said. They sent me notices from the Federal Register, which actually puts into the physical body of laws, puts in the executive orders and sends them in so that they're official executive orders. And so I looked at that. And I say, okay, the Federal Register actually put those in, and they say, yeah, you see, so it's really a law, and he's really the president and all this. And I said, no, that's, you don't understand. You know how easy it is to bribe or get a federal official of the United States to do the wrong thing and to just make some nonsense up.
Well, the number is
it's happened so much.
How do you think the CDC does it?
It happens so much that. It's just ridiculous to say, oh, well, the Federal Register recorded it and put it in to the Federal Register. So therefore, he really was, his executive orders are good.
And that's the problem. And that's what I've been saying for all these people out here who are calling bullshit on a lot of these theories right now, because they're wanting evidence in a world that's designed to bury the evidence. Like, At what point do you have to realize, like, you're not going to read this in an article. You're not going to get a document that says this is going on. So it's not really smart to be pointing fingers right now and calling bullshit just because you can't find it on the internet. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And I know there's infiltrators, and we have to be careful because there are people in here trying to muddy the waters. But at the same time, I don't know. I just think it's important to be careful, but we don't know.
Absolutely. But we do know we can know what is real proof, what is real evidence, and what really has weight to it when we see it. And for us, that's going to be very different from what a normie thinks, or what a mainstream person thinks, because they have no clue. They think that something they get from CNN is evidence. That it means something, or from mainstream media, or from Fox News, that it means something, and it's absolutely does not. Absolutely does not. I find more credible evidence from a guy on the streets of Washington, D.C. with just a phone, who calls himself Richard Citizen, and he literally is a citizen, and he's just out there with his phone, and he's recording stuff, and he's showing us, hey guys, CNN has Biden and Pelosi live in the White House Rose Garden right now, and he shows us the television. He shows us television showing that, and then he takes his phone and he shows us the Rose Garden, which is right over his shoulder outside the building, and he shows, look, it's empty. There's nothing going on there. It's not happening there. They got this giant press conference out in the Rose Garden, and Pelosi's there and Biden's there, and there's nothing happening there. That is credible evidence with weight to it, because he's showing it to us live as the action is happening. That's real. That's authentic. And
basically, I've watched that. I've followed that guy, and DC's pretty much vacant at this point.
All the buildings are shut down and they're abandoned.
Yeah.
Yes. The government buildings are all shut down. Anybody that's listening to me can look this up on any public database. They all say the Congressional Building, the Capitol Building, the White House also, really, and all the U.S. Mint and the FBI headquarters. FBI headquarters is boarded up. It's boarded up, and then there's in the media they're just saying, oh, it's they're having renovations.
Yeah.
How are you going to have renovations at the same time on all the government buildings in Washington, D.C.?
All at the same time.
Yeah, you gotta have a bullshit detector at some point. You gotta. You just can't accept this. And I talk to FBI agents who I tell them, do you guys know that your headquarters has been boarded up? It's been FBI agents who are working in other places, and they say to me, we had no idea. No, we didn't know that. It's been boarded up and closed down for weeks. I think it's like a month now. It's like, and you guys haven't been told? They have not been told. They didn't know a word about it. They had no clue.
Wow.
And I tell them, and then I tell them, plus a whole bunch of other buildings in Washington, D.C. have been closed down. What do you guys think about that? What do you? It's renovations. It's renovations. And I tell them, guys, you guys have to be investigators at some point.
You're in the FBI,
yeah. You're in the freaking FBI
mindset. Yeah.
At some point, you gotta become an investigator, not an observer.
Yeah.
And care about your own life here.
Well, I heard.
Well, that's how strong the programming is. It's just people don't question.
You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of when my parents used to buy the off-brand cereal, but put it in the Lucky Charms box to try and trick us.
Yeah.
Like that's exactly what they're doing right now.
That's the level of deception. They're like, look, it's real.
Yeah.
This is happening.
I saw a theory that said they're vacating DC so they can pull an Independence Day stunt and fly a UFO over and blow up the White House like in the movie.
Yeah, I could see that happening because the cabal is getting this UFO nonsense ready just in case the death jab nonsense falls apart. They're basically getting it locked and loaded because they're experiencing some real problems with this scamdemic that's going on, and they're getting real problems that they've been stopped at death jabbing about 50 to 60% of the population, and they can't get beyond that.
That's why they're coming door to door.
That's why they're threatening to go door to door.
Yeah, they already are. I've seen
they already are.
Yeah.
And that's just one moment away from going completely coercive and just having their troops hold people down and give them the death jab by force. We're just a heartbeat away from that right now.
Okay. Well,
but if the military really, the white hats in the military are in control, that's never going to happen. It's never going to be allowed to happen, in my opinion.
I don't. Yeah. The problem is that I absolutely I believe that Trump has run this scenario several times, and that every time and I'm not sure exactly how to describe what I mean, but he has run this scenario several times, and every time he comes out and he says, don't take the death jab. The death jab is bad for you. It actually resulted in more death jabs going out to everybody and more people being death jabbed. So what he's doing now, in this iteration,
reverse psychology.
Yeah, exactly. Because he has said
it
in many other areas that he has to use reverse psychology because if he says anything is good, then everything goes against it. So I think the government know that the white hats know they're going to lose a lot of people here. We're going to lose a lot of people, but it's the least horrible option at this point.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Well, but it's going to be their choice. To me, it's like they're leaving it to if you choose to get the vaccine, you can do it, but it's not going to be forced upon people like us without our consent. And that's what people are so afraid of right now. I see people, oh my God, they're going to force it on everyone.
Right.
I don't think they're going to be allowed to do that, but you will have the choice to get it. That's your free will. I would advise strongly against that, but that is your choice, and you will have to face the consequences if you do.
Well, but there are people who don't have a choice. The very old and the very young. Yeah. And the very young.
And people who don't want to lose their jobs.
But you always have a choice, but there's the consequence. They say, oh, well, I have to for my job, or I have to for this.
Some insurance companies won't even insure you unless
you'll lose things if you don't.
So but now what we're finding out with so many people getting sick and falling deathly ill, we're finding out that now your health insurance does not cover you for taking an experimental drug.
It's not. And they're not held accountable for it either.
There's no accountability at all.
So you got some people who are going to be going in and out of hospitals and doctors for the rest of their lives, really, really sick, and their own health insurance is not going to cover them because this actually is an experimental drug, and you're not allowed to take it according to their rules.
Yeah.
So it's like catch-22. It's insane.
I agree. What do you think is going on with this election, this audit? You think we're going to make any headway with this? Like, and actually like get a public victory? I mean, the very fact that the mainstream, that like they're trying to call it an audit a crime, tells you everything you need to know. Like,
Plus, they sent Biden's doppelganger over to Pennsylvania to actually in person to try to stop it. Stop it going on in Pennsylvania.
And did you see what their General Flynn, which is his verified Telegram account, he said that they're trying to send out somebody on July 15th to go and replace the batteries on all of the voting machines. And like they made this announcement, this is not a joke. And he said what happens is that erases the history when you the batteries. It's like this can't be allowed to happen. Like if this doesn't like just shout fear, what else?
Absolutely. The audits, to answer your question, I believe the audits are going to go forward and they are going to produce plenty of evidence of fraud. They're going to do exactly what is being said they will do. They will change the results of the election, and the electoral votes will be taken back by the states, and they will hold on to them until they can determine at the state level, at each state level, what they're going to do with those votes. And the votes are going to be the election is going to be decertified at the state level at each of the states, and it's going to happen. But to speak to your other point, I do believe that is going to be successful. It is going to happen, but we are going to lose people, and we are going to have sacrifices. That's the problem. I mean, all the way up to and including assassinations and other things too, and it is going to happen. But we're going to have to be determined to push forward and get the result that we need, despite those losses.
Well, let's talk about that light, the light at the end of the tunnel. Like, if the white hats are in control, there's going to be casualties. But what happens at the end of this? Like, on some level, like
how does this play out?
Basically? Like on some level, the universe has to be making sure that we're all collectively taken care of, or for lack of a better term. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, what do you think's happening there?
At the end of this, at the audit process, I do believe that the states are going to decertify, and they're going to reallocate their votes, their electoral votes for president, and then Trump will be reappointed. He'll be reappointed as president, because we already know that the entire Supreme Court is compromised. Mm-hmm. So we can't count on them to be any part of this process. Mm-hmm. And they're not going to be. As a matter of fact, they're going to be subjected to other processes later on. So there really isn't, I don't really believe that there's anything is needed from the Supreme Court. But if something is needed from them, the white hats will be very they'll be on top of getting whatever they need from the Supreme Court at that time. But I don't think anything is really needed from them. Because this process, because fraud vitiates everything. It's an old Supreme Court rule, and it's always stood. And so the entire supposed Biden election would be completely erased, and the votes, the electoral votes, would be reallocated, and Trump would just need to have his inauguration, which will be a real inauguration. That's how that should play out.
If that plays out, you're going to be able to compare a real inauguration to the show we just got. Yeah. And it's going to just even wake that many more people up once again. I guess what I was talking about as far as the light at the end of the tunnel, like, are we going to get to a point where they're not trying to jab us or fake an alien invasion or whatever? Like, past all that, like in the future, like if we're in control somehow or another, we have to like not be worried about our fear for our lives anymore, you know? Well,
yes and no. And I really need you guys to see my presentation, because that's the whole, I did a whole 6-hour presentation that was basically all dedicated to that exact point that you just said.
Yeah, you did that Sunday, right?
Yeah, I did it on Sunday, and it was just basically just informing people about what it is that the cabal has going now, what has been their most successful platforms, and the most successful jihads against us as humanity. Because for them, this is a crusade to depopulate us, to kill most of us. They have it as it's like a religious thing with them. Because they see us really as the virus, the common people, the useless eaters, and they want to eradicate most of us. And I set out, point by point, exactly what have been their most successful platforms to try to eradicate us and enslave us and imprison us as well, because they want us as all three. They want us as slaves, they want us as prisoners, and they want us as non-humans. That's how they see us, and that's what they've been trying to do, and they've accomplished a lot in those areas.
I agree.
They have. And so in my presentation, I show people how that's done. It was I gave the presentation, and but it's available right now at portaltoascension.org, and it's available on my website also as well, and people can get it and have unlimited replay on it, because it's a lot of material. It's a lot of material. I kind of David Icke'd out on it.
Well, yeah, 6 hours. You're crazy.
And I just showed a lot of material that people need to see, because this scamdemic was planned detail by detail in 2010. The year 2010.
Oh yeah, I've seen documents. Yeah,
it was planned out, and you can find those you can see, and I actually show people the documents from the Rockefeller Foundation in 2010 called Operation Lockstep, which actually showed how the elites would use a scamdemic, use a sickness, a virus, to spread to humanity, to create lockdown situations, and then go from there and tell people how they need to be protected, they need to be safe by cooperating with all these crazy measures, this 6-foot distancing, these masks that actually get you sick, get you very, very sick, and things that don't make sense, but you had to just get the medical world in on this. And then you had to get the scientists in on this, and it's all there, along with Klaus Schwab's.
Oh, that guy. Yeah, Antichrist himself.
Yeah. Dr. Evil, the Dr. Evil of Germany, who you can and the guy who's the president of the World Economic Council, who also wrote a book called COVID-19: The Great Reset. That's real. He wrote that book. It was like. And he wrote it in 2010. They like to pretend he wrote it later, but no, but he actually did write it in 2010, and it came out, and it's basically the whole blueprint of this scamdemic, of everything that went on. And at the time, he wrote what people thought was impossible, that they could achieve a worldwide lockdown and a prison planet of the entire earth. And it's all there. It's all there in his book. He talks about getting the useless eaters to cooperate in their own destruction and their own lockdown.
He said something like 400 billion people, or some crazy number that they were going to try and wipe out, you know?
Oh yeah.
And
the thing to answer your question is that these people will never ever stop. They will never stop. I mean, think of Hitler and the Nazis in World War II. You know, do you think there was any point where we could have the Allied forces could have just said to Hitler, you know, just give up, you know, it's over.
Make an agreement.
Just
no.
Lay down your weapons, and you guys can be reintegrated to Germany, and just everyone will be okay. No, that was never going to happen. And let me tell you, a lot of the people from the high levels of the cabal are actually about 100 years old. They were actually there in Nazi Germany when this stuff was happening. That's why they remember all the methods that were used back then. They remember because they were there.
Nazis were the cabal. They were a product of the cabal.
Well, yeah, Nazis was just one of the, and that's why you guys need to see my presentation, because I go through all of this, all the little baby philosophies that are used by the cabal for taking out their goals and putting their goals into humanity. You know, socialism, Nazism, communism, Bolshevism as well. You know, these things were things created by them that they finance on both sides, and it's incredible.
So you don't think like we're gonna see arrest and like a draining of the swamp, as they would call it?
Yeah,
I mean,
we will, because we will, because both of these things are true. We're going to have great victories. We're going to wipe out very large portions of the cabal as well. You know, we're going to eventually drain the swamp at some point, and we're going to be able to destroy all these people. You know, I actually have a belief that, well, I might as well just tell you guys and tell your audience. There is a website that was put together by the U.S. military, and it is labeled as parody and satire. Okay, parody and satire, and they put that label on there on purpose. Also, they don't advertise. They don't want too many people seeing their website. They're just not interested in it. They don't want it to happen, and the website is called Real Raw News.
Oh yeah,
Real Raw News, and they are reporting every detail of the tribunals, Article 1 courts, and the tribunals that are going on of cabal members from all over, and they are reporting on trials, and they are reporting on the results of the trials and executions that have been going on apparently for over a year at this point.
So, okay, this is I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of people call bullshit on Real Raw News. They think it's it's a fake site, you know, but you're telling me that you actually know that this is there's a military backing this site.
Let me tell you, all the people calling bullshit on this site is exactly what we want. You know, and the U.S. military wants that too, because that's exactly why they labeled themselves parody and satire. All right, they did that for a reason, and they want it to be known. But if you go read that site and go read especially the earlier articles, you can tell that they're written by military, by the different services, because of the jargon that's used and the lingo that's used throughout these articles. I mean, it's right in there. And you can also tell that this is what we call in the intelligence world, it's a trick with inside of another trick. All right. It's like
it's the off-brand cereal and the
exactly
box. Yeah.
Exactly. It's the off-brand cereal in that beautiful, Tony the Tiger box. The high quality stuff. To make
genius
you think
doing it that way. Yeah.
Within a trick. This is my contention. I believe this is a trick within a trick, because if you look at this site, they're not following any of the patterns of satire sites. They're not trying to put out clickbait. They're not trying to make money. They're not advertising anything at all, and they're not announcing their stuff anywhere. They're just kind of there. And the reason is because I believe they have the mandate from the president to record all the details of everything that's going on, because later on, you guys may know, these trials are going to be televised. We're going to have total transparency on everything that went on with these trials. And and even the members of the cabal are starting to realize that this site is probably real, and that this is really going on. I know the media knows that it's real, because every time one of their people gets executed, they immediately rush on these deep fake interviews of the person to show, hey, they're still alive. They weren't executed. Yeah. They're right here. Look, they're right here. And they put on these painful. I mean, the one they did of Hillary was so fake. It was so fake and awful looking. But they took her in the outfit that she had when she was arrested by special forces. When she was taken in, she had on this weird purple outfit. And they actually took the deep fake of her in the same clothing, just to show that, hey, here she is. She's not dead at all. And this deep fake is so crappy. I mean, it's so crappy looking. It's so awful. MSNBC put it on, and they rushed it on the day after she was executed. And they had her, she actually is nodding. It's like they put it on a loop, and she's nodding like this to the reporter. And it just, they went on too long, and they let the nodding go on too long. It's like they forgot to turn it off. And it just looks ridiculous. And they did the same thing with Podesta. The day after he was executed, they pulled out an old interview of him, and then they CGI'd in the reporter that was live,
really
that was real, and to make it look like, hey, Mr. Podesta, you're totally alive, aren't you? He's like, yeah, well, of course I'm alive. What are you talking about? I'm right here. Can you see me right here? Hey. And it was the most ridiculous thing. Anyway, they're going to keep on doing it.
So from what I've read, Hillary died in 2016. Does that line up with what you were told?
Well, no, because what you probably heard about was one of her clones. Hillary was one of the few people in the cabal that had clones, had doppelgangers, and had actresses that were running around with her mask as well. She had so many. She's one of the great supervillains of our age.
Well,
so what you heard about was probably one of her clones that died, because they died a lot. That's what I think you heard about.
Yeah, they malfunctioned a lot too.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like the one that went nuts on 9/11 Memorial, and then ended up actually dying right there. And then they threw her into the van, and it was bad, real bad. But but what I was going to tell you about that also was that these clones sometimes they get mistaken for the original, and there was actually an announcement out of New York City at the time that you talked about, that the local news actually reported Hillary Clinton just died, and they put that out on local news, and it was just because it was one of her clones that just passed away.
And I do know that this is something I was just reading. So there's this girl who looked exactly, it was like a Hillary Clinton lookalike, and she actually had surgeries done to make herself look more like Hillary, and then she was like basically training, like she was trying to become Hillary, and it was like, and there's pictures of them together, and it's like uncanny, and there's no reason that sometimes what we get is actually this other girl. I think her name's Heather or something. Yeah.
I remember that. And but the real Hillary, apparently we've gotten some intel in that she was actually executed in April. I think it was towards the end of April.
Of this year.
And she was executed, and they made sure that it was really her, because apparently, and again, this is intel, rumor, data that we have to look at. They actually had to make sure it was the real her because she has so many freaking doppelgangers out there. They had to. The real Hillary has an actual tattoo that has 666 in the tattoo, and it's on her hip. It's on her hip, right at the bikini line. I don't want to make you think about this.
No,
but
don't give us that image.
Just
please.
tell me that the real Hillary has Andy on the bottom of her foot, like Toy Story.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But so one of the things they did was they executed her and then put her body on display naked, so that other members of the cabal, as they were arrested, because they all thought Hillary outsmarted them. They got one of her clones. They got one of her doppelgangers.
Mm-hmm.
And so they purposefully put her body on display naked so that they could come in and look and see that tattoo, because they all know about the tattoo also. And they could see that they got the real Hillary when they got her.
I wonder, I mean, but they couldn't fake the tattoo, or replicate the tattoo also. I don't know. You have to think about that stuff, But it's interesting. Like we have to read between the lines here. We're not going to get the full scoop from anywhere publicly. We're not going to. They're not just going to come out and tell us. So we have to take sources like that. We have to watch it with our own eyes and clearly determine that it's a show, and then figure this stuff out, connect the dots, and then
connect the dot. That's what I was waiting for. That's it. That's what we have to do. Yeah. Okay. You took my course. It sounds like. Okay.
He already took it.
Yeah. I'm just that good. Yeah.
That's what we have to do, because you only by taking any intel, taking it in, holding it, and then seeing for the connections to other clues. That's the only way we can validate or invalidate the information. It's the only way. And we have to be open to anything, whether it comes from the physical or sometimes even the spiritual. And you got to take that stuff too. That's just the way it is with real investigation.
Absolutely. Well, John, this has been amazing, man. Thank you for coming on and doing this and sharing all this stuff with us. It's been a lot of fun. Before we wrap up, Aaron has an announcement to make. Go ahead. I'll let you.
Okay.
He's getting married?
Yeah, I'm getting married.
Yeah.
No. So I'm going to be moving to Portland, actually, very soon, in just over 2 weeks.
And joining Antifa.
Joining Antifa. Yeah, I'm joining Antifa. Sorry, guys.
So the podcast is still going to go on, but it's going to be like the old days. We're going to be in separate locations.
Yep. It's going to be like the old days.
But we are not going to miss a beat. We're going to keep going. Aaron and I just won't be on screen together anymore. And he is moving on to the next chapter of his life. And actually, today was your last day of work. So you quit your job too.
Yeah. Technically last night. I work overnights into this morning. But
congratulations, man. That's awesome. Good for you. Good for you. You're going to turn that place around. I have a feeling.
Oh yeah. I'm going to
You're going to do it.
I'm going to go fight Antifa in Portland.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to turn it around.
Yeah. But anyway, so we, as you guys know, we're leaving tomorrow morning for ECETI, then we're going to Sedona. And then after that, we're going to probably have one last show here together before he moves. And that'll be a sad moment.
Yeah. I'm gonna cry.
Yeah. But guys, grab a ticket for the Great Father, the Great Family of Light Gathering in Sedona, July 23rd through the 25th. Those tickets are still available. Come hang out with us. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to it. John, thank you so much for coming on. Do you have any announcements you want to make?
Oh, I just want people to go check out the Para Investigator course by John DeSouza at portaltoascension.org, and just check it out. And also check out my books and my website, johntemmabooks.com, and check out my stuff. Books discount, 25% discount on my books with code discount word awaken.
Awaken.
Yeah.
Nice.
Give you some reading material out there in Portland.
And go check out his course, his 6-hour course. If you have 6 hours, I don't even know how you did
all day, man. All day long.
Portal to Ascension. It sounds like it's pretty awesome, and you laid out a lot of good information there. So if you guys feel like doing that, go check it out. I know I don't have time to do that. That's why we just have him on the show instead.
Yeah.
Excellent. Good stuff. T. Weiler, Aaron, thanks you so much. Awesome being on here with you and your audience. It's good stuff, man, guys.
Johnny D.
Always a pleasure, man. Thank you so much.
It's average watch time 15 minutes and 55 seconds. 555.
Nice.
So
synchronicity.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much for the donations. Thank you for the moderators for being in here. Thank you guys for all the support. We will see you on the road. We might be going live from ECETI and maybe even from Sedona. We don't know how it's going to play out, but just keep an eye out for that. And until then, we will see you next time. Have a great evening.
Good night, guys.